What's up everyone, Art here, and today I'm going to be debuting and installing one of our most highly anticipated products. It's the OVERTAKE EJ Top Mount Intercooler. If you guys are watching this video, that means the OVERTAKE EJ intercoolers are on our website and ready for purchase. You might even have one. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, really installing them, showing you guys how to do it step by step. Now, you did get a little preview of the black coated version. I want to unbox the silver version as well and just show you what all you get. Obviously, the OVERTAKE sticker and package buy card, and then the little QR code for the video that you're watching right now. And then this top piece, don't throw this away. You're going to feel that there's some stuff in here. First of all, the OVERTAKE plate frames that I expect you put on your car if you're going to be rocking our intercooler. And then in here, you'll see a length of hose, some gaskets, some fittings, and fresh hardware. And I'll go over that during the install. And then, of course, the main event, the intercooler itself. Looking really pretty, nice and vacuum sealed in here. I'm not going to take it out because this is going to a customer right after this video. But you guys can have your choice of either the silver coated or the black, just like this. I think for the purpose of this video and for Keith's beautiful STI right here, what we're going to do is install this version right here. But before I do that, I need to go get the factory STI intercooler off that and get it prepped for install. We've got the intercooler out, and as soon as we did, a thunderstorm started outside, so if you guys are hearing some static on my mic, you gotta excuse us. Now, while we're here, a couple of things to consider. If you guys are doing this work and getting this far, I would switch out a few of the old OEM items. The bypass valve recirc right here is a great example. We make a black and a red version of that. The pitch stop mount as well, you gotta pull the intercooler off, so you might as well replace that. Things like the heat shield, and if you even want to go the extra step, like Keith did, do the OVERTAKE turbo inlet while you're at it. It's just a good way to refresh everything. Now we're going to leave that OEM intercooler alone. We're going to focus on the OVERTAKE unit, start by taking all these protective plugs out. We're not going to need those. And then what we're going to do is equip the Y-pipe. Now we do sell several kits in red and black just like that. Now, this is going to be for all STIs as a bit of an upgrade, or if you have something like an older WRX or a Forester that you need an STI-style Y-pipe for. So essentially, what that's going to do is get fitted up right here. We're going to have an elbow coupler that attaches to the turbo, and then the kit also comes with a fresh coupler for the throttle body right there. And if you're buying the intercooler kit, you're getting supplied with fresh gaskets. I showed you these earlier, but let's take a look at the two inlet gaskets for right here, and then we've got the bypass valve gasket that we're going to put on last. And what you'll also notice in the kit, as I mentioned, some hardware and fittings. We can leave the fittings alone and grab the 4 shorter matching pieces of hardware, because that's what we're going to use to attach the Y-pipe. Now, Keith already had an OVERTAKE unit, so we're going to go ahead and reuse that. Put some fresh gaskets on here. Make sure to clean this off nicely if it's dirty. It shouldn't be since it's a brand new intercooler, but if you're reusing the Y-pipe, you might have a little grime right there. Gaskets go in, this gets put on, a couple bolts, and then we're going to torque it down to 12 foot-pounds. We've got the Y-pipe snugged down. Now, one thing I wanted to comment on is you can see that Keith has his elbow coupler pre-cut. Now, we deliberately oversized these in our kits. That way you can cut to a variety of different turbos, WRX, STI, or aftermarket. So just make sure that you make your cut exact. We do have an install video on the Y-pipe specifically that I'll put down in the description. You guys can check that out for a little help and reference. Now, we can flip the intercooler over. The next thing we're going to do is put the throttle body coupler on. This one's nice and snug right there. And then what we're going to want to do is apply the OVERTAKE isolator grommets. Now, these are a really cool little upgrade. Either your stock ones are probably pretty corroded or they're just straight up missing. So we make these little units, rubber grommet with a nice aluminum cap, and those are going to fit in on either side, just like the factory units. But the difference is they're going to look a lot nicer than the factory units, and also You could have guessed they come with fresh hardware. Before we go any further with the install, I want to talk about the hose and the two fittings, the T and the straight. Now, EJ engines are getting pretty old, so there's going to be a lot of configurations. It's pretty rare when you have a fully stock one. In this case, we've got a lot of modifications done, including an IAG AOS. That means that some of these lines are going to be different than what you've got. Now, if you do have a factory setup, you're going to have a crossover hose just like this on the front of your factory top mount, and that's basically what this hose is going to replace. So what you're going to need to do, we'll start with the driver's side, is take the straight fitting, and then once you disconnect this, connect that to the factory hose, and then one of the sides of the supplied hose, and that's going to run across. Now you guys can tuck that under the throttle body somewhere where it's out of the way. And then over here, you're going to have a hose that goes from the top side of this into the head breather, just like on the driver's side. You disconnect that, and you're going to connect this side of the T to it. Then you're going to cut where you feel comfortable. You got enough length so it's not super tight. Connect the hose, and then with the remaining length, or you could tap into the factory hose, you just go straight into the turbo inlet. In this case, we've got a hose running here. In the factory case, it may be running down there. But as long as you have all the hoses hooked up to your head breather on either side with the OEM hoses, and then over to your inlet, then you're going to be good to go on the crossover hose. Now that you guys have your crossover hose installed, it's time to throw the intercooler in. So my last steps are to throw at least one of the clamps on this side, and then one small clamp over here. And it is going to be a tight fit. I would suggest getting a little water moisture in here to have the elbow coupler slip on a little easier. This is probably the toughest part of the job. And then the silicone coupler up here should bend right into place. So let's give it a try, do our best not to get frustrated. EJ top mount intercoolers are always one of the harder installs. Surprisingly enough, everything slipped in really nicely. Now, there was a little interference here because of all the extra hoses with the AOS, but we made it work. And like I said, everyone's setup's going to be a little bit different, especially with these aging EJ engines and the modifications that you guys have done to them. Now, the last things I need to do is basically a little bit of adjustment. You want it to sit nice and straight, and you do have a good amount of play with the brackets on either side, with how the couplers sit. All I need to do now is slip in this clamp on the top. I usually don't put both clamps in there to make it easier to slide in. Now you can loosen it all the way, slip it in here. Then you're going to want to tighten the clamp down there below, and then of course throw all those bolts and brackets on that we took off in the first place. And the last thing we're going to do is pop open the fresh bypass valve gasket, and we're going to end with putting this on. We should be finished right after that. Last thing we had to do was bolt the bypass valve back into place. I just threw in a fresh OVERTAKE gasket and then the couple of provided pieces of hardware. Now that's on tight. And the last thing I really want to do is just go through and make sure all the couplers and clamps are on tight, all the bolts and everything we took off is where it's supposed to be. And then you go out for a drive. You guys are going to know if there's any sort of leak because you're going to lose boost pressure, but I know that you won't because you did the install right. Now, we officially have these for sale on OVERTAKEUSA.com. You guys can hop on, buy either the black or the silver-coated versions. And once you get them installed, leave your impressions in the comments, leave some reviews on our website. That helps us a ton. I just want to thank you guys for supporting us with a major product release like the new OVERTAKE EJ top mount intercoolers.